speaking of China, something happened on November 10th that didn't get a lot of attention around China. It didn't get a lot of attention in the United States or the EU. Now, be honest with me. Raise your hand in the chat or just put up a hand emoji if you heard this story or were fully aware of it back on November 10th, okay? If you do, great, good on you. Then you're more advanced than a lot of other people. But somehow I missed this. Maybe it was the holidays coming up or something. I don't know. But so this story from our friend, my friend Mark Gurman over at Bloomberg earlier this month, he breaks a lot of Apple news. He's got a lot of insiders. And here's the headline. Here's his story at Bloomberg that I missed for some reason. Apple limits iPhone file sharing tool used for protests in China. Now, this was November 10th. Company puts 10-minute cap on receiving files in AirDrop. Change is made in China, but will eventually expand globally. How did I miss this story? So what does this mean? Now, it may seem small, might not seem like much, and it's just an iPhone story. So, well, look at this. This is the AirDrop feature. If any of you use an iPhone, you'll know that this is a powerful feature because you can basically share files like peer-to-peer right between people on their phones, and you don't have to use an app. You don't have to go to WhatsApp or Messages or anything else. You just can literally share it right there, phone to phone. So this is great for protesters. This is great for people who want to get information out to the public, right? To organize. I was thinking about this the other day. I was reading a book recently on Nazi-occupied France. And of course, the underground movement in France, in Paris, and all through the night, people would get together in speakeasies and small clubs, and they would organize, right? The underground movement to overthrow the Nazis. They would get together and hand out pamphlets and hand out information, and they hoped that they wouldn't get caught so they could organize and overthrow, right? And protest and push these guys out of their country. Sabotage bridges. That's what they were doing, right? They were sabotaging bridges. They were sabotaging railways and things like that. They would organize. So that's what they were using these for in China as well, to sabotage drones that were spying on their buildings. Handing out, and one of the things they were handing out is images and drawings of things that they could pick up at the local store, like different PVC pipe where they could create potato guns that would shoot a little lasso of a string out that would catch the drones and smash them to the ground. They were sharing these little pamphlets via AirDrop and organizing for protests. Yeah, to help the people of China against tyranny of lockdowns and surveillance. That's what the people were using this AirDrop feature for. AirDrop allows the quick exchange of files like images, documents, and videos between Apple devices. So you could share it with anyone in a general area, and people could have access to that and move. New China software version that Apple just rolled out. So Apple rolls out this new version in the beginning of November. Why? And it basically...
Now, do you think that that's something to be in compliance with Chinese law or something? Like, can China say, hey, you have to limit that feature or we're going to ban iPhones in China? Like, do they have that power?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if it's that specific, but clearly, and I'll get to that in a second, to me, that's exactly what happened. I mean, no doubt about it. Like, absolutely, the Chinese government came to Apple and said, we want you to limit this feature. Because Apple is not going to do something unless their bottom line is threatened, at least in my opinion, because when do they listen to their users? Am I right? I mean, well, yeah, I guess. Well, so China is one of their largest growth markets, right? So they don't want to do anything that hinders that growth. They're also, focused on India as well, but China is one of their largest growth markets, so they don't want to hurt that bottom line. So here's the quote, the Bloomberg. Let me put this Bloomberg quote up here. After a 10-minute period expires, the system reverts to the mode where files can only be received from contacts. So that means, if you have your mom and whatever in there, it'll just skip back to your mom. But you have to keep going back if you want to receive this stuff from everyone. That means that individuals won't be able to get an AirDrop transfer from a stranger without actively turning on the feature in the preceding few minutes. So how do you know? Someone's going to send me an important video or a place to meet up right now. I should turn it on right now. You're not going to know. So you're never going to get the information. You're going to be blocked from getting this information, important information about human rights and where you're going to meet your friends and all of this.
I mean, so to play devil's advocate here, I actually can see the benefit of this because there have been cases where you're sitting in an airport or in an airplane or even at a restaurant or something, and somebody will just mess with people and send these random files to you if you have it on everyone. So I could see some measure of that, but having it so that, like, if you, let's say you wanted to use the feature and you were at a protest, you turn it on while you're there and then turn it off when you leave on your own. Not that it auto does it, because I can see that it is dangerous because people will put it in, mom will put it in everyone because she can't get it to send contacts only. And then she forgets she's going to be getting on a plane and somebody's going to send her some random picture, which is what has happened.
Well, why started, I get that. And I've heard a few instances of that. Like people have been on a plane and people have like airdropped like some funny pictures, or nude pictures or something like that to some people on the airplane and like, what is this coming through on my phone? Okay. Is it an epidemic? No. But if you know that people are using it so that they can overcome draconian lockdowns and you're a supporter of human rights, you err on the side of human rights. And also, why do you set it so it's only 10 minutes? Why can't I choose as a user that I can always have it on? That is not an option any longer in China. If I want it always on, that should be my choice. Every other little fiddly knob inside of iOS allows me to customize every nook and cranny of that phone, except this one, because China asked you not to. So again, what kind of things might you share this AirDrop feature for? Well, again, protest organizing, getting out information about how to stop those drones. Hey, there's a large police contingent coming down the street, hide the dogs. I don't know. So Apple does a ton of business in China. It's one of the biggest growth markets. Their Foxconn factory in China makes the iPhones. Without China, Apple wouldn't be the company that it is today, bottom line. So why did Apple make this change? Well, my friend John Gruber, writing at his really good blog, Daring Fireball, says, quote, "You don't have to be Kreskin to surmise that Apple made this change at the behest of the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. There's no explanation for it being China only for now. Apple never explained why they dropped the Taiwanese flag from the emoji keyboard in China either. Also, the shameful aspect of the Taiwanese flag emoji issue is that Apple removed it from the keyboard for iOS users in ostensibly free Hong Kong as well. But Apple has long told us that it stands for the people, right? That's what Apple's always told us. And they stand for human rights. They stand for civil rights. After all, they sell a lot of woke watch bands on their website. You can stand with Black Lives Matter and buy this watch band for the Black Unity, or Black Unity. That's the watch band. They roll these out every year. Take a look at that. There's the Black Unity band you can buy. Oh, that supports Black Unity and civil rights.
To be supportive. That's the 41 millimeter. How much is the 45?
I don't know. Yeah, $100. Yeah, for Black Unity. Or you can stand up with your Pride band. There you go. There's your Pride edition. Your LGBTQ plus band. Or you can buy a Product Red phone to support helping stop
Cancer.
AIDS. Was it AIDS or I forget?
Cancer.
It's cancer. I thought it was AIDS in Africa. Oh, okay. I thought it was Bono started Product Red. It was all about. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I now you're making me doubt myself. I thought it was cancer.
I thought he was the one that I thought it was U2 and Bono, and there was even a special U2 edition of the iPod back in the day of Product Red to stop AIDS in Africa. But anyway,
Googling.
Yeah. So nevertheless, you can pick your cause, and Apple's got wants to help, right? They've got.
Okay. You're correct. It's every Apple Product Red purchase contributes to the global fund's fight against AIDS and COVID.
AIDS and COVID?
Yes, that's what it says.
now it's COVID.
Those commonly linked, like linked together viruses.
Yeah.
Viruses.
Wait, I thought only conspiracy theorists link those two together.
So now it's COVID and AIDS. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you get a Product Red phone, you're supporting we want to stop COVID and AIDS. Why don't we add the flu on there? Stick the flu in there too, in the common cold.
No, that's getting crazy. Come on. Well, you can only link two unrelated viruses at the same time, not three. That's scientifically impossible.
Product Blue will stop the common cold. All right, I'll get behind that. So they do a lot of virtue signaling about these causes that they support. In February, of course, they turned their website and Apple.com and their Apple TV experience. If you go to the Apple TV during that time, you'll see it's all Black Lives Matter, virtue signaling about civil rights and civil rights programming. So they care about civil rights and human rights. Just after Tim Cook took over for Steve Jobs, he told interviewers that enriching people's lives matters more than money made, he said. How this is his core mission. Cook says lives enriched matters more than money made. But when it comes to the people of China, we don't support those people or those civil rights. We support the Chinese government instead because we have to respect the different laws of these different countries.
I wonder if they'd be willing to release their profit margins to prove that point.
How do you mean?
I mean, if you're going to... you're going to be a profitable, billions and billions of dollars profitable company. You're going to sell these watch bands for these things for $99. How much do those bands cost you? How much are you really,
we never find that out. We never find out.
No.
What is they actually sell a cleaning cloth. They sell, I think it's a $20 cleaning cloth. I pick these up at the hardware store to clean my glasses, and they're like, I get them like for $2. I get like a pack of
for
3.
a bundle.
Yeah, these are fantastic. And they sell a $15 or $20 cleaning cloth. Do you have it?
No, that's not the Apple one.
Oh,
hell no.
God. Take out a loan.
Watch this. I can move it right to my phone, and do you see that?
Wow, it's amazing.
Watch.
You can AirDrop it to your phone. That's amazing. So we don't support those people, says Apple. We respect the different laws of these different countries. My friend Andy Anatko, who's been a longtime tech journalist, and, he says that this is where Apple always, this is the fine line that Apple has to, this like fence sitting. And, he's long been critical of them for this fence sitting. It's like, we care about human rights, but, we have to respect their laws. They tell us to do these things. And, it's either that or we have to leave. And we really want to be there because we think we enrich their lives with our products. So we're willing to just cut off all of these features because, it's the local laws that ask us to do this. Here's Andrew Ross Sorkin from CNBC. He was asking, to his credit, he asked Tim Cook a very tough question of Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, about these human rights abuses. Listen.
You have been criticized for not speaking out on human rights issues, for example, in China and other countries as well. This is something I think a lot of companies that have been doing business in China struggle with. A number of companies, as you know, have abandoned China. How do you think about that?
I think that we have a responsibility as a business to do business in as many places as we can. Because I think business is this huge catalyst. I believe in what Tom Watson said, is world peace through world trade. You have to get your head around when you're operating outside the U.S. in any country in the world, that there are different laws. And so that's part of both the complexity and part of the beauty of the world is everybody has their own laws and customs.
Yeah. Right. It's the beauty. So how we stand by those people with different customs.
Well, and if that's the beauty, then why is it going global? Because you saw that at the beginning of that ad, it says that they're going to launch it now in China and then globally. Right.
We're starting in this country. And I wonder if the feature will look different in other countries. Like, will I have the choice to keep it on?
Like you said, if I could, yeah, exactly. If I could choose the time, like limit it to 10, 20, 30, 60 minutes, unlimited.
That's the way it's going to be. Or they probably will make that change later. They're going to roll it out so it looks the same as China, and then it'll be tweaked later on. Like they'll, we heard you want to have more flexibility, so we've increased it, just not in China. So on top of this is, Apple is in a fight with Elon Musk over whether they're going to remove the Twitter app from the App Store. And Apple just pulled all of their $48 million in advertising from Twitter. By the way, the largest advertiser on Twitter, Apple, just pulled all of their advertising. And as my friend John Gruber was pointing out, that there's a lot of other advertisers probably sitting back saying, wait a second, Apple just did that. Maybe we should also consider pulling our advertising from Twitter. Over what? Over their free speech? Putting back conservative voices who were blocked and banned for no reason? Targeted people who were censored? Going after child exploitation Twitter accounts and deleting them and banning them for promoting child exploitation? Apple has a problem with that? Google has a problem with that. Facebook, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not just Apple, but all of these lefties right now are saying the same thing. It's unbelievable to read, like, the tech commentary. My old tech friends, my tech journalist friends that I used to know, I can't believe some of their tweets over the past. Like, I've been really shocked, actually.
Same.
I'm disappointed.
Like, people that I've respected, and I'm just like, where are you coming from? Like, I don't even understand where you're coming from. And one thing that I saw from an official Twitter account is that they've decided with the launch of Twitter Blue this Friday is when it's supposed to, or actually it might be today. But anyway, whatever day, I think it might be Friday, but anyway, whatever day it's launching, they said they're not going to sell it through the App Store now. You're going to have to buy it on the web version.
So they just confirmed that that's Apple's just confirmed that?
No, that's what Twitter confirmed. Twitter's you know what, forget Apple. You can upgrade to Twitter Blue, but you can only do it in the browser.
So they don't get a cut of that price.
Yeah, they're going to cut out the 30% tax. Now, whether or not, like, this is official Twitter, but so I don't know, like, because they were joking around with people too about the $8. So I'm not sure how true that is, or if that was just like hey, Apple, this is what we're going to do if you don't comply.
Well, Governor Ron DeSantis, he slammed Apple over this. Watch.
Very concerning. And then when you also hear reports that Apple is threatening to remove Twitter from the App Store because Elon Musk is actually opening it up for free speech and is restoring a lot of accounts that were unfairly and illegitimately suspended for putting out accurate information about COVID. That's like one of the main things that's being reinstated. So many things these experts were wrong at, and you had people on Twitter that were calling that out. And Twitter, the old regime in Twitter, their response was to try to just suffocate the dissent. And Elon Musk knows that's not a winning formula, and so he's providing free speech. And so if Apple responds to that, by nuking them from the App Store, I think that would be a huge mistake, and it would be a really raw exercise of monopolistic power that I think would merit a response from the United States Congress. And so don't be a vassal of the CCP on one hand and then use your corporate power in the United States on the other to suffocate Americans and try to suppress their right to express themselves.
A vassal of the CCP. Ouch. And then a host for censorship in the American people. It's unbelievable. And just to be, not that we're just like crapping on Apple here on this point, because Apple has had a history of doing this in China. This isn't new, but this obviously, given these protests, is new and important. Just before you go thinking that like Google is some sort of a saint in any of this, they're not. Neither is Twitter before Elon Musk took over. They are not. Neither is Facebook or any of them. They're all. So if you're thinking of like, I'm going to use a Huawei phone, well, China state-run phone, basically. I'm going to use a Google phone, an Android phone. Yeah, good luck. You basically have to build your own phone. Like if you want to actually, sort of rise above any of this, or just not use any phones at all. So Google is no better than this, as Vivek Ramaswamy explained in his great book, Woke Incorporated. Back a number of years ago, the Chinese government called on Google to censor search results about the Tiananmen Square uprising. So when you would do a search, you wouldn't find this tank man any longer, this photo, right? You couldn't do that. So if you Googled Tiananmen Square back then, they asked them, hey, we want you to remove this so that we'll only see beautiful pictures of Tiananmen Square as if nothing ever happened here, like these photos. Like, hey, there's nothing here. There's no tank man. Come on down to Tiananmen Square. It's beautiful. Google pretended to stand up against censorship then. So they're like, we're taking a stand. We're Google. Do no evil is our motto. So they pretended to actually stand up to censorship, and they got applauded for it, but they were liars. And they said they were done with China, we're leaving. Do you remember all that? I don't know if you guys remember that. It happened a number of years ago. And as Vivek writes in his book, he says that lip service to freedom of speech earned Google applause in the West. But the truth is, the company quickly sought to return to China by any means necessary. Unbeknownst to virtually all of the company's employees, a team of engineers were assigned to work on a search system codenamed Dragonfly. that would require users to log in to perform searches, track their location, and share their data with the Chinese government, that would have unilateral access to the data. Terms like human rights and student protest would be blacklisted. Being evil was back in style. It was only released because of an internal memo, so Google know better. Google complied. They did the country's bidding after it pretended they wouldn't, and they moved back to that type of censorship. So that's Apple. We'll see what happens with this and this whole Twitter thing. I'm just really stunned. I'm just really stunned at the response of this. I just can't get over the left's response to free speech. And now the government, the Biden administration, wanting to actively investigate Elon Musk over Twitter. Like, don't you have bigger fish to fry right now, like a railroad strike? Food shortages? People can't afford their medications or homes? We're going to investigate Twitter.
What's that thing? Like, it's like they're saying like we've done these little things, like we did this. We allow elderly people or veterans, whatever, free access to national parks now. It's like, okay, that's awesome. That's great and all. But are there not bigger issues going on right now? And it's like they don't even talk about those.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy that this is what they're focused on. And so, you had John Pierre the other day at the White House press briefing saying, oh, yeah, this is a big concern. We're all watching this right now, what happens with Twitter. I'm glad our federal government is so concerned about what's going on with Twitter.
Well, and I don't know if Elon is actually there, but Elon just tweeted this and says, thanks, Tim Cook, for taking me around Apple HQ, beautiful HQ. And it looks like he's standing there.
Oh.
So he's like trolling for real, unless he's really going and talking to Tim Cook. That would be awesome, actually, if they communicated through this.
Maybe. I saw today that Tim Cook was flying to Washington because Republicans called on Tim Cook to come to Washington to answer for this Twitter thing. So I don't know if he's like, what happened? He's either flying there, meeting with Tim Cook, Elon Musk. I don't know, but it's fascinating. It's a fascinating discussion right now.